Hey, we're back.
Hi.
Hello. So Amanda and Allison with Stark Parks again, and we are back with our answers for our pop quiz feathers. Allison, you want to tell us about our feathers quiz?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are all feathers from Northeast Ohio birds. And these feathers do very important things for the birds. So as we reveal the answers, I'll talk a little bit about what these specific feathers do. They help to keep them warm, they help to keep them dry, and they help them to fly. So I think we're ready to reveal the answers. I hope you're all feeling very strong in what you've written down.
Get those answer sheets ready, okay?
Yes.
With red pens. Hopefully you don't need them. Okay. Let's take a look at number one.
Wonderful. So number one is our blue jay. The blue jay is a member of the corvid family, so the same family that crows are a part of. They're very intelligent birds, and we don't have a lot of birds in Ohio that are that brilliant color blue. So finding that blue feather is going to be your number one clue that it's from a blue jay. They're also our largest of our blue birds. Now, the blue in their feathers isn't made from a pigment, so they don't get it from anywhere. It's just the way that the feathers are shaped. They trap wavelengths of the light, and the light that they reflect back to us is blue. So that's why we see them as that bright and brilliant blue. The feather you were looking at was one of their tail feathers. And tail feathers help birds to steer, they help them to stop, and they help to give them some balance. They're very important feathers.
Awesome. Such a pretty bird. And yeah, we see them all the time and we find those feathers all the time. So yeah, you can see those tail feathers down there.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, if everyone's ready. Okay, answer number two.
Wonderful. Number two.
Turkey.
Yeah, number two is one of my favorite birds to get to see. They're so big. They're so interesting looking. Yes. And it's always a surprise.
Yeah.
So wild turkeys are very cool birds. These feathers are their primary flight feathers. So the primary flight feathers are long, they're stiff. They provide them with their forward thrust. They help them to fly forward and give them power. Wild turkeys can fly. We don't often think of them as a bird that is capable of it. They typically fly very close to the ground, but they like to roost in the trees, and that keeps them safe from predators. So we have a really cool video that shows them doing just that. So this person got very lucky to have this flock of turkeys in their backyard. They are on the ground foraging for food. They eat a little bit of everything. They're omnivores. They'll eat acorns. They'll eat insects. They'll eat little things that they can find. And when it's time for them to get ready for bed, they fly up into the trees. So this whole flock is deciding what to do here.
I don't know if we have youngsters that don't want to go to bed or camera shy.
It's always nice if someone else leads the way too. You don't want to be the first bird to pick where to roost.
Oh, embarrassing.
What if you make a bad choice and the tree's uncomfortable?
They're thinking about it. I mean, it's a slow rise. It's kind of like a bomber plane taking off. Thinking.
Yeah, their main way of getting away from things, they're going to run. They're very fast. But roosting up in the trees, it keeps you safe from predators. Right. Most of our predators can't get up into the trees. And they're most...
Here we go.
Whoa.
He worked for that.
It's a lot of work. Turkeys are, they can be pretty heavy as far as our flighted birds go. So got to have a lot of power. Those big feathers help them get that.
Right behind that. Yeah, they're definitely stiff when you find them. So. Okay, well, let's find out what number three is. Okay, number three, Canada goose.
Yeah, so this is a feather that we find very often when we are outside. Our Canada goose is a very common bird. They're found in every single one of the contiguous states of the United States, so they're everywhere. They're huge birds. They weigh 7 to 14 pounds, and they have at least a 4-foot wingspan. So they need those big feathers to get them up into the air. I know very often when we find those large feathers, we think, well, the biggest bird I can think of is an eagle. So we often think that they're an eagle feather, but they are that Canada goose feather. These were the primary flight feathers that we were looking at. These birds are very common. They're found very close to water. Anywhere where there's kind of short grass, that's ideal for them. It mimics the tundra, which is their breeding grounds.
Right.
And because we keep our grass that length, we're keeping them around here year round. So that's why we see them all the time. They're very cool birds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely our choice there. Okay, so if we take a look here, this really shows them taking off and their call, as we all know too well. One of my favorite things about Canada geese is when they creak, those wings creak.
Oh, yes.
Over. Okay, let's take a peek at something most of us have seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And liftoff. Okay.
I always love watching them make their calls because it's not just they're opening their mouth. There's a whole body movement that goes with it. They're putting all of themselves into it.
Very emphatic. Yes. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So number 4. Let's take a look. Number 4 is the northern flicker.
This is one of my favorite birds that we have in Ohio. It is one of our woodpeckers, and the yellow-shafted northern flicker I think they're gorgeous. They have that kind of mustache patch. They have all these beautiful splotches on their feathers, and when they fly on their rump, you see that white patch. Mm-hmm. These birds, these woodpeckers are really interesting in that they spend a lot of time on the ground. They're foraging, looking for bugs. And their behavior when they're on the ground, it's called anting, and they're hunting for ants. They're really interesting birds, really beautiful to get to see. They're called the yellow-shafted flicker because of that yellow color on the shaft of their feather. The shaft of the feather is that hard part that runs down the middle of the feather. That gives the feather its structure, so it lets it stay in the shape it needs to be so that they can fly. So they're really, really amazing birds.
They're gorgeous. Yeah, we see them on the ground a lot. Mm-hmm. At SIPO is where I see them quite a bit, is SIPO Lake Park, the west entrance and the north entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Pecking in the ground there. Such a cool bird. Okay, let's find out our final answer today. Okay, so number 5 is the barred owl.
Yeah, so the barred owl, a feather is a lot of times most of what we're going to get a chance to see of that bird. These owls have amazing camouflage. So if you're lucky enough to come across an owl feather, that's really, really cool. Yeah. These feathers are striped, and those stripes on the feathers is where the barred owl gets their name from. Mm-hmm. They have a very similar pattern to the turkey, but these feathers don't feel the same as a turkey feather. If you find a wild turkey feather, it feels very stiff, where an owl feather feels very soft. Mm-hmm. Those feathers need to be soft because that helps to keep them silent when they're flying and when they're hunting. So they definitely feel very different. We have a really neat video of a barred owl at night.
Excellent. That wingspan.
Yeah. So a lot of times these trail cameras or the Nest cameras at home, they're catching some really amazing footage of things that are happening outside when we're sleeping.
Right.
And nature is very, very active. So this owl's very interested in something going on in this pond. Barred owls are known to fish. They will go after frogs, snakes, basically anything smaller than themselves that they can catch. I do not think that this owl was successful in its attempt to potentially eat their goldfish. But
Right. Yeah, excellent. And you can see very well here, looking between that turkey and the barred owl, those two feathers look very similar. But I mean, they're camouflaging in the same place. So makes sense.
Yeah.
They're both large birds, larger.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so thank you for playing along with us. Go ahead and keep your score. Of course, this is a friendly game, so if there were any wagers, we hope they were in a good spirit. Thank you for learning our feathers with us. Again, if you have any questions about feathers you may find, that's what we're here for. Please leave a comment on our Facebook page asking, or you can send in through our website. We'd be happy to help. Awesome. Thank you for joining us today.
Bye.
Bye.